Hello and welcome to my channel. I am Zodiac Bandit, and today we're going to be recapping the final episode of the Wildemount Wildlings mini-series. It's been a fun ride, so let's get into it. We start with the Olgas under the trapdoor. Marisha and Ashley still aren't at the table. Only Padma and Sky are still standing. Kai and Jessup are both out cold after the encounter they had with that screaming monster before. This room that they are in is very, very dark, and neither Padma nor Sky have any dark vision. And they're both freaking out because they don't really know how to help the others out. Death saves from Kai and Jessup. 18 from Kai. Jessup rolls a 9, which means she has her first failed save. Padma asks if Sky has any way to light the room. She doesn't. Padma doesn't have any torches or anything either, but he has his manuscript for all of his cards that he's making for his card game. He says they've got to save them, and he casts Prestidigitation on his manuscript and lights it on fire to add some light to the room. Sky and Padma can now see, and they give others the healing potions they found before. But unfortunately, before they do so, there are some death saves that need to be rolled. Jessup with a 7. Luckily, it wasn't a 1, because if it was a 1, she would have died. And 8 from Kai. So, they both get healed. Padma gives Jessup a greater healing potion that they found in the shed and heals her completely. Sky feeds Kai a healing potion for 7 HP. Kai notices the burning smell, and Padma explains what he did to light the room so they could see. Jessup thanks him for doing this. Padma says, "What's the point of making a game about acts of heroism if you aren't willing to do it in real life?" He then says that they're probably going to rewrite some rules anyway. Kai's looking forward to making new art with him. Jessup admires his sacrifice, and then she casts light to give some light to the room as the fire dies down. There's now a long, winding tunnel before them. The walls are cracked and has a yellow color to it like an old person's house or living room. They can all still hear the sizzling sound of bacon. The party decide to press forward. As they walk, they hear broken glass beneath their feet. Perception checks. Both Sky and Jessup roll really high. The girls see on the ground that there used to be a bunch of potion vials here, or at least there's the broken remains of them. Whatever came through here before likely took everything down this trap hole with it, shattering everything. However, with some high rolls on investigation, they're able to find a metric fuck ton of potions that Sam hands out to them. One is called the Potion of Riz, 2 potions of healing, and one is called the Potion of Baby Unicorn. Hopefully we see what those do. Padma takes one of the healing potions as he has 1 HP and is now fully healed. They continue moving forward, and as they do, it gets warmer and warmer. They eventually come to 2 doors. They look the same, they're both white, but they both have small signs on them. One sign says WW and one says DW. Kai thinks DW means don't worry, and he likes that one. Padma wants to cast a few spells ritually and waste 30 minutes of time before they move through to see if anything, he can discern anything. But Jessup says that she just wants to go through one of the doors and picks, because after everything they've done so far, she just wants to just pick one and jump through. She doesn't want to hesitate anymore. Kai wants to do the opposite of that and take their time. That's what he's learned through everything, that they should slow the hell down. Padma thinks that if time is short, they should just pick. It's 50-50 anyway. Jessup thinks that don't worry door is a good idea. Sky wants to do some recon before they go through the doors. She simply touches them to see if they are hot. They aren't hot in any way, but DW has some sort of weird hum to it. Padma votes for DW to avoid a tie. They open the door and see an endless dimension of rotten madness, where the shadow people writhe here and they hollow out their own eyes. Whispering secrets twist their minds, faces screaming forever. Above is some sort of massive creature made from necrotic limbs and viscera, its maw devouring sanity itself, and Padma simply closes the door. Kai thinks that it means do worry instead of don't worry now. Padma says once this is all over, he'll be seeking legal action against the camp. They open the other door and they find some sort of cozy waiting room with an attendant with a sign-up sheet on it. In the room are 2 other creatures. One is very tall and skinny and looks kind of like a palm tree, and the other looks like a coconut. They ask the Olgas if they're here to also see Walk Walk. Kai says they're actually Walk Walk's assistant, but the woman behind the counter says that's her job. Padma looks to see if this is some sort of illusion, and with a 19 on his Arcana check, he sees that everything here is, has the warping effect that they've seen before. It's like everything here is in the wrong place and it came from somewhere else. He's not quite sure. It is definitely some sort of illusion, but he isn't sure if it's temporary or from somewhere, a different dimension maybe. Padma says none of this is real and he can't be bothered by it at all. There is no walk or anything else that's around them. Padma is told he is now at the bottom of the waiting list, but Padma just starts looking for tracks from Gub, and with an investigation check of 19, he sees that there's magazines with a weekly composition of Tusk Love, like some sort of companion piece for it. He doesn't see anything exactly from Gub, but he can smell from behind the far door in the room, there's bacon being made. Jessup tries to sneak to that door. Sky casts minor illusion to make a small child with bleeding teeth to freak everyone else out in the room to distract them. The tree man isn't concerned as he doesn't want to lose his spot in line, and the coconut man goes over and tries to help the child. The assistant is filing her nails and doesn't seem to be bothered by anything. Jessup notices that the walls in this room are painted blue just like her, so she's going to use it to blend in and sneak over towards the door. Padma says that he believes in her to sneak over, and if that doesn't work, they'll just beat the shit out of everybody in here. Jessup then wraps the others up in her cloak to hide them as they all sneak over. Kai looks for pictures of Walk in the room, and with a natural 20 on his investigation check, he sees a diploma on the wall for Walk the Pan Man, and right next to it is a frying pan holding a diploma in a picture. Jessup then tries to blend into the wall, and she rolls a stealth check of 14. The coconut is talking to the assistant, wanting to kick out the Olgas for bothering him. The tree sees that the Ogles are trying to sneak over to the door. He yells at the assistant that they're trying to sneak in, and the party just bolt for it. Dexterity saves from the party as the assistant throws some sort of spell towards them. Kai with a 13, Jessup with a 3, Padma with a 16, and Sky with a 10. Both of the girls fail, and they are both hit by flames as they go through the door, and they are dealt 2 damage as they do so. They fall through the door. They're now in a new space, one of raging inferno. The floor is glowing red with heat, and they are on a massive stovetop. The air warps here from the heat, and there are many meals in the middle of being cooked all around them. All of these meals have feet as well, which means they were all alive and, people at one point. They see a massive pan man holding a fork and spatula. Jessup and Sky see a dead Gub being fried up on this stovetop as well. A doorway across the chamber opens up and Bo and Yasha jump through. Ashley and Marissa then join the table, and Sam places a map. It's actually such a cool map. It's so fun looking. Bo and Yasha take in this warm space, and they're happy to see the kids are still around. The pan yells out of the campers, here to whisk everything for a merit badge. Well, no worries. I'll make this over easy. It's now time to roll initiative. Jessup with a natural 20, Kai with a 16, Bo and Yasha both get 10, but Yasha won the rollies. Sky and Padma both get 8, and the two do rollies, but they end up getting the same number, so they'll just go together. They'll just pick and choose who goes first. Jessup is first. She feels the ground below her is now very hot. There are iron bars that seem to be out of the heat a little bit. It's not how heat and conduction and shit like that works in real life, but for game mechanics, it works just fine. Jessup is going to try to use her Mirror of Guilt to paralyze the pan for 2 rounds. With guilt. Paralyze the pan with guilt. She shines it at him and rolls an insight check to try to aim it at him properly and rolls a 15. It looks like she shined it right into his eyes, and it may have worked, but she's not too sure yet, because she can't really read the face of a pan. She then stays put instead of moving. On an investigation check of 14, if she stays in place here, she'll take some damage, so she elects to move forward, but she doesn't go up on the iron bars. Kai had then put on his disguise kit. He has his dual mustaches on, and he claims to be a kitchen inspector with a deception check of 25. But the words seem to fall on deaf ears, as the pan says that a health inspector, well, soon he'll be toast. It seems he has no regard for safety. Kai then moves up next to Jessup, and that's the end of his turn. Walk is now up. He vanishes and then reappears on a different burner, and he goes to attack Jessup and Kai. But with the mirror in her hand, he stops himself and questions what he's doing, and he's overcome with guilt. He loses his turn. Yasha is up, and she's happy the kids are still alive, as the kids are to them. Padma asks if they really have to stay or not. Yasha says that the Pan Man actually seems a little bit familiar to her. Bo says if they stay and fight, they'll get their badges. The Olgas wonder if that's even worth it at this point, and Yasha rages and runs towards Walk. She goes on one of the iron bars right near her. She then dashes to actually reach Walk Walk just in case he tries to run away. Bo is up. She then runs up with Yasha and uses Step of the Wind to get the rest of the way there. She tries to parkour her way up the pan, and with an acrobatics check of 17, she's able to do so no problem. She's now on top of Walk Walk. She swings with her bow staff and rolls and hits with a 19, dealing 7 damage. Padma and Sky are up. Padma wants to run. He says no matter what, they're always going to be the Olga kids. They're going to be shamed for it forever. Sky says if they beat this thing, they'll at least be half heroes. Padma looks to Kai and Jessup to see if that's even worth it. Sky feels like she finally belongs with people. She belongs to the Olgas. Kai says if they do well, and they're able to do this properly, the Olgas can be the cover art for the card game. Sky then says that Kai isn't running. What if Padma loses his artist here? Padma says she's finally making sense. That's very practical. Sky then casts grease underneath the frying pan in the fire. She flips her coin and the spell goes off properly. The grease then hits the flame and hits the pan and Bo and Yasha, unfortunately. Dexterity saves from both Bo and Yasha. 19 from Yasha and Bo with a 12. Bo actually fails, Yasha saves. Bo takes 10 damage and Yasha takes 5. The pan man is resistant to heat, but still takes some damage. Padma then looks at the pan and asks what he called him. Did the pan call him a loser? A slimy loser? Does the pan not think he can go on the boat this summer? He's not his real dad. And then Padma runs and jumps up to the pan and swings with his bow staff and tries to knock him prone. Padma hits with a 26 and the pan fails on the prone save. I think it was some sort of con save. And takes 12 damage on the way down for his efforts. Bo also falls with him and she tries to land safely with a dex save of 11. She falls right into some of the open flames and takes 3 damage for doing so. Top of the order, a grease elemental then suddenly appears right next to Yasha and swings for her. It hits, dealing 2 damage. Jessup is up. She takes 2 damage on her feet for standing on the hot stovetop still. She's very stressed out and she casts Infestation to make flammable bugs to try to light the fires beneath the pan again to deal some damage. She's at level 2 panic and rolls a d6 and rolls a 4, so the spell goes off with no issues. Bo needs to make a dex save as well as she's within the line of fire. Jessup deals 14 damage or would if the pan didn't resist the fire damage. So it deals 7 instead, and Bo takes 7 as well for saving. Kai is up. He takes 1 damage on his feet because he also didn't get off the stovetop. They can now see that the metal is safe, but the stovetop itself is too hot to stand on. It's too hot to handle. Kai moves up and pours water on the pan from his water skin. He hits and deals 3 damage, or at least it was 3 damage, but it might be more, as the pan screams in pain from the water hitting it. He then backs up and stands on some of the iron near him. Walk Walk is up. He stands and jumps over to Kai. Yasha gets to attack and hits, dealing 8 damage. Then Walk Walk swings for Kai with his fork, but as he does so, he stops as he's overcome with guilt yet again. He then summons 2 more grease elementals, and they move towards Kai. One had to dash to get there, but one swings at him and hits, dealing 3 damage. Yasha is up. She runs for Walk Walk and attacks. She crits, dealing 7 damage, 7 radiant damage, and 6 slashing damage. Bo is up. She takes 4 damage at the start of her turn for being on the stovetop. That was the worst damage they've taken so far from that. She then sees some gas knobs on the stovetop and sees that they're all standing at full. She disengages from Walk Walk and runs over to the nearest knob. Bo knows how a gas stove works. That's just a common thing in Exandria, apparently. She then tries to turn it off and she swings with her bow staff and she hits, spinning the knob halfway. The pan gets mad at her for messing with his flames. She then uses Flurry of Blows to turn the knob all the way off. The Walk Walk now looks very uncomfortable in less heat. Sky and Padma are up. Padma asks if she can make water. She can't. She feels bad for making the grease elemental, though, or at least she feels like she made the grease elemental, and gets very angry. Padma then tries to knock over the pan towards Sky. Padma swings and knocks him down prone yet again, and on a 16 before the mod he hits, making the pan fall prone. Sky, who is now raging, swings with her hand axe. She hits and deals 8 damage, putting a hole in Walk Walk. The grease monsters are now up. 2 of them attack Kai, and 1 of them attacks Yasha. 1 hits Yasha for 7 damage. The 2 attacking Kai both miss. Jessup is up. She takes 2 damage for standing on the stovetop. She then casts Sorcerer's Burst, which the spell does in fact goes off, but the burst unfortunately misses. She then moves to on top of some of the iron so she doesn't get burned this time. Kai is up. He takes his rope out and throws it over the top of Wok and gets Padma to hold on the other side because they're going to try to trip him later. Padma does grab it. Kai then drinks a potion of healing and he's now full HP. Wok is now up. He stands up and Sky swings as he leaves her range, and she hits for 6 damage. Wok then fires a cone of grease at Jessup and Padma. Jessup saves and Padma takes 6 damage as he fails. 4 damage as he fails. Yasha is up. She sees the burst from Jessup bounce away from Wok, and she tries to hit it back towards Wok, and she jumps in the air and she tries to do some acrobatic shit like Bo, but unfortunately she rolls really low and lands awkwardly on her hip for 3 damage. And Bo is now up. She sees Kai is in danger and yells, "Leave little Bo alone." She then runs over to him and swings for the grease elementals. She hits one, dealing 5 damage to it, killing it. She then flurry of blows to the other, killing it as well. She tells Kai to finish it. Sky and Padma are now up. Padma tries to calm Jessup with a tea bag and throws it at her. It hits her in the face, letting the tea leaves out, and she is now stress-free as she smells the tea. She sees a moment by the lake with Sky when she first got to the camp, where Sky told Jessup that she would be great at this camp. Sky believed her for a moment, but then, because they're an Olga, she forgot. She now believes that again. Padma and Kai try to pull the Wok down with the rope. It works, and the pan falls prone, and during all of the twisting and turning they did with the rope to try to pull him down, the 2 of them landed a really awkward high five. Sky and Jessup are now attacking together. Jessup takes a jar with a brain in it with some liquid inside of it and throws it on the pan, ruining it forever. Sky then scrapes off some of the non-stick pan with her axe. Jessup does land with her liquid attack. That's, this modified liquid attack here. And Sky does hit her attack. Sky deals 7 damage. And with the extra damage from the liquid, the pan is now down. The Olgas then surround it and start beating the ever-living piss out of this Wok until it dies. Or this pan, or Wok, whatever we want to call them. Bo and Yasha just watch in pure joy, knowing they've succeeded in making these children very violent. The stovetop then calms down, and the space around them begins to fade away. Suddenly, purple and blue light fills the chamber. They hear a voice that says, "Camper, it's curfew." Mishi is now before them, and before they can say anything, they are teleported back to the central meeting place of the camp. Mishi congratulates them and is waiting for the card game to come out because she wants her royalties. Padma questions if Mishi is even real, and she pinches him. The Olgas notice that the other campers have now returned as well. They gather around a party to hear what happened. Many faces in awe of the story that the Olgas tell them. Even the one who mocked them before says that it's a very awesome story. Veth then takes center stage and says that she always knew that they could be true wildlings. She never doubted them, not once. She then points to Yasha and Bo and asks if they passed, and Yasha and Bo both say that they passed with flying colors. They said at the same time. They didn't need to rehearse it or anything. They just knew. They're wife energy. Yasha makes sure the campers hear that the Olgas actually saved her and Bo from death, because they did. Veth notes that Bo and Yasha look very rough, and Bo says that she'll need to have a talk with Caleb about these fucking potions they keep making. Yasha thinks it was unfair for them to be weakened in such a way. Bo says that she only hurts kids when they need it, and Veth notes that Luke actually died in their care once, and Bo and Yasha say that he's fine now, it's okay. Padma asks if any of this was even real. Veth isn't sure, but Yeza, Veth's husband, says that he might know what happened and that it might be his fault. He was messing with dunamancy. Caleb gave him a vial of dunamis and was trying to make potions out of it when one exploded. One hit Yasha, and he thinks that it had some sort of unintended effect and brought some strong emotions to the forefront. He thinks that the monsters they met have something to do with Yasha. Yasha says that she has a journal and she draws in it to express herself, and she flips through the pages and they see many of the same monsters that they encounter throughout the journey. Yasha says she was going to make a comic for kids with these drawings. Yeza says the magic took control of her pages and brought everything inside of it to life, and he apologizes for it happening. Veth says that it was all a big whoopsie and says that, stuff like that happens here all the time for insurance reasons. Padmud says that he is going to be suing the camp ASAP. Veth offers to write him a letter of recommendation to the Solstice Academy for Padmud, as she knows someone who works there, Caleb. Padmud looks at his friends and says there's nothing that anyone in Exandria can teach him that his friends didn't teach him already, so he'll be suing the camp. Or he and his friends can come back for free from now on and get normal cabins with no shame-based objectives around it. Kai says that he wants Veth's hat. Bo says that the 9 still have to give them autographs as well. Jessup wants more tea, as it really calmed her down. Sky says that she just wants to come back next year. Veth says that she'll do that, and that she'll get their own badges. Sky gets to name her own, in fact. Sky wants to make a friendship badge. Veth thinks that's sweet, as they don't have that one yet, so she's going to be the first one to earn it. Veth also notes that Sky can be whatever she wants. She does not have to follow her barbaric instincts. Sky really likes hearing that, and that she needs to work on her rage, but she wants to take more wizarding classes moving forward. Veth says that she'll get a private lesson with Caleb. Padmud summons Archibald and explains to Archibald what's going on and asks what he wants. Archibald says that he wants to find true love. Padmud isn't sure this is something that Veth can do for them. Sky then shows a magazine that she took from the cozy waiting room that had Tusk Love inside of it, or at least Tusk Love Weekly. And this pleases Archibald, and he drags it away to do whatever the fuck he's going to do with that. That's creepy. Veth gives all of them what they want. She says that they can't have a normal day at this camp, and that's okay. She says the Olgas didn't make safe choices. They wilded out, and awards them with their friendship merit badges, the new ones, and this is the first of their kind. They are now the rank of 3 below and will be allowed to stay at the camp for free and will advance into the next year. Kai gets Veth's hat as well, and in real life, Alex puts on the hat. She asks if they can get a wild out, and on the count of 3, they all yell wild out. This ends the tale of acting their age, which doesn't mean acting like old people or wiser in any way, but it means staying young as long as they can. But before we're done completely, Veth takes Bo and Yasha away from the party for a quick chat. Veth asks if they've made the decision yet, and Bo and Yasha says yes, they want to adopt Kai. Veth asks Kai, and he says no. Yasha and Bo then say it's okay, they've learned a lot from this, and they know they're at least ready to try having kids now. The 3 of them go off and get some drinks, and the mini-series ends here. So there you have it, the final episode of the Wildemount Wildlings mini-series, and I loved it. I thought it was a lot of fun. It was super short and super sweet, like the episodes weren't super long, and they uploaded like an hour early, so I was able to go to bed by like 1. It was great. It was perfect. So hopefully they take some away from, this and do that for the regular campaign. Like starting at 9, that 1 extra hour early is kind of nice. So hopefully they keep that going. But overall, I loved this miniseries. It was very cute. I loved that it was inspired by like the kids' games at home that Sam runs for his kids and his kids' friends. I just enjoy that concept so much, and I've learned a lot from this just by watching it and how like I could potentially DM for some kids at home, because I have some cousins that I would like to introduce to D&D. So that's a possibility now. I've seen an example of how to run it for kids, and I'm very excited for potential futures now because of it. Overall, the story was really fun. The characters were really fun. Padmud is honestly one of my favorite miniseries characters that they've ever had. He's just super fun and super cute. And I just love first of all, Brennan as a player is amazing. I'm so happy to have finally been able to see him like in a player role in more than like a one-shot. So that was really cool. So overall, enjoyed the ever-living piss out of this. It was so much fun. Kai, Sky, and Jessup are also amazing characters as well. I was a little worried that like Bo and Yasha would like take up a lot of the limelight, but they didn't. They were handled really well, and they reduced their strength, which is really cool and a fun idea. So again, Sam nailed this. It was perfect. Great job, Sam. It was a lot of fun. It was entertaining. I don't know how else I could say it. It was a lot of fun. So yeah, I think with that, I'll see you guys on Tuesday for whatever video I make next. Peace.